Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Maxine and I'm from Colleypit Pottery. Some of you may have already seen me through Jeanette at Far Forest Ceramics. We had a get together with the lovely Sarah Hallam and Lucy from West 2 Ceramics. And we went up to Potglaze for the day, and some of you may have already seen that video. I also went over to Jeanette's and we did a raku day. So again, you may have seen me there. Today I'm going to do my first kiln opening on YouTube. So you may have to bear with me because I'm bound to get some things wrong, and we'll have to see how the lighting goes and the sound and everything. But hopefully all will be okay and you'll enjoy it. So I am at the moment in full Christmas making mode. So a lot of this kiln opening is actually Christmas items. So let's get started. So first of all, this is a Cookies for Santa plate. And you can see that on the outside, it's actually stroke and coat. And this one I think is hot tamale. And then the Santa is painted in Underglazes and also black underglaze in the writing, and then it's covered in just a zinc-free clear glaze. I tend to use zinc-free over all of my underglaze paintings because sometimes the zinc in a glaze can change the colour. And it can also sort of make it flux a bit and move. So I'm really pleased with that. It's turned out nice. It's nice and flat, and it's a bit of fun for Christmas, isn't it? So going along the same lines, we've got a reindeer treats plate. Now this actually was done a little bit differently because it was a hand-drawn picture, and then I've made a silk screen out of it, and then silk screened onto the it was actually done at greenware stage with the clay, and then once it was bisqued, so I had the outline of the reindeer, and then once it was bisqued I painted it with the underglaze colours. And on this one we have, again, it's a stroke and coat, and I think this one is called Green Thumb. I will check that, and if it's any different then I'll put that up in on the screen for you, but I believe it's Green Thumb. Now again, a similar one, and again we've got reindeer treats, but this one was actually done with a stamp, and then it was coloured in with underglazes afterwards. And this stroke and coat that I've painted the outside with, I believe was candy apple red. And again, I'm really pleased with these. I think they're cute. I think they're a bit of fun for Christmas. So nice. And I think the nice thing about the stroke and coats is they're very stable. So you can take them right to the edge, to the bottom, and I've never had them run. And I've never had them go onto the kiln shelf. So, that's really good for this type of make. Now, going back to the silk screens, I actually, again, this is hand drawn and then silk screened on. So I've got then the imprint of the reindeer, and then once it's bisqued, then I've painted it with the underglazes. And I think that's really cute. And I believe the snowflakes I actually did in a mixture of cottontail and one of the blues. I think it may have been Sea Breeze. I think it is the stroke and coat for that. but I just think he's really cute. And then on the outside, I've actually done the outside of that in, just bear with me a minute, micro pearl, 3 coats of micro pearl. And what I actually did was I took 2 coats right the way down to the bottom, and then the 3rd coat I took to about there, and it has moved slightly. You can see it's moved down the outside of the wall of the piece, but it hasn't gone onto the bottom. So you know, that's worked out really, really well. So again, I'm really pleased with that. I just think it's really cute. Another little reindeer treat plate. I think this one might be my favourite actually. I just think he's got a really cute little face. And again, this one was silk screened, hand drawn, silk screened. And then after the piece was bisqued, then I painted in the underglazes. And the outside of this, I believe, let me just check my notes. Yeah, so again, this one is green thumb. And that's come out really nicely, and that's a stroke and coat. Another silk screened little reindeer plate, hand drawn, then silk screened. And this one on the outside, we've got candy apple red. And the lovely thing about the candy apple red, I did 2 coats on the outside and it still shows up the lovely snowflakes. And the same on the snowflakes on the inside was a mixture of the cottontail and the sea breeze. Now, again, this one is a silk screen, but this was actually a commercially bought silk screen rather than a hand-drawn one. And it's a little snowman on skis. Isn't he cute? So he was silk screened again at Greenware stage, and then he was bisqued. And after the bisque firing, I had the black outline of the snowman, and then I coloured him in a watercolour style, so quite watery with the underglazes. And he was then coloured and then put through the glaze firing. And all of these have got a zinc-free clear glaze on. And I believe it was the Amaco HF9 zinc-free clear. And on the outside of this one, I've put hot tamale, which is again a stroke and coat. Isn't he cute? Really pleased with all of these. And again, this one is a commercially bought silk screen. And again, a little snowman. And exactly the same again, he was silk screened at Greenware, and then the underglazes were painted on after bisque. And the outside of this one is again the 3 coats of micro pearl. And you can see how it's just moved and fluxed, and there's a lovely amount of variation in that. But it hasn't gone all the way onto the bottom. He's really cute. Okay, so I think that's, oh no, I've got one more. So this one is slightly different. This one was done with the GR Pottery forms, the tree form, and it's a cookies for Santa plate. Now, I was not really disappointed with this one, but it didn't come out as I expected it to, really. The outside was actually painted in, what's it called, Just Froggy, the stroke and coat. So it's a little bit darker, right? It's more of a, what I would class as a Christmas green, really. But then I wanted a little bit of movement, or I wanted to try and get a little bit of movement. So I put some honey flux on the rim, but you see how it's turned quite sort of brown and rusty in places. I wasn't really expecting that. I don't hate it, it's just not what I expected. But I don't think I'm going to refire it because I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just sometimes we have something in our mind, don't we? And it just doesn't quite turn out as we think it will. But, there's no flaws. There's, the clear glaze is really lovely on it. Everything's fine. It's just that the rim hasn't quite come out as I would have liked. Now moving on, so that's all of the plates that I've got. But then I also did some gnome mugs, and I know that a lot of people are doing gnome mugs at the moment. I think they're quite popular. But this is my sort of version, if you like. So this one, isn't he cute? Look at the run on that handle. Isn't that yummy? I love it when we get drips and runs like that. And these are actually made out of a speckled clay. I like the speckled clay because it just gives a little bit of sort of a variation, really. So what are the glazes I used? I was a little bit concerned about this one because I used the Mayco red gloss, and the reason why I used the red gloss was because it's quite a sort of a lovely Christmassy red, and I really like the colour. But the reason why I was a little bit concerned about it was because they're very stable glazes and they don't tend to move. And I just didn't want a flat colour. So I wanted to get a little bit of sort of movement, a little bit of variation. So what I did, if I remember rightly, let me just check my notes. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so what I actually did was I put the red gloss on, and the red gloss went to sort of about there, and then I put a line of honey flux, no, not honey flux, light flux, sorry, in the middle, and that was 2 coats because I wanted to encourage some running. And then over the top of that I put 2 coats, no, 1 coat of poppy fields, and that's just really turned out nice. And I've got some lovely drips there, so I'm really pleased with that. And a nice drip on the inside of the handle, can you see that? And then that drip on the handle there is just yummy. And then there's a little snowflake in the bottom of the handle. And the beard actually, and I've done the same glaze on all of the beards with the gnome mugs. It's the Spectrum Satin Speckle. And it's just, I think it's just really nice for the beards. So yes, I'm really, really pleased with that one. Again, a similar sort of Christmassy feel with the reds. And this one, I actually did 3 coats of deep fire brick on the inside. Hopefully you can see that the sun's just come out and it's quite bright. And then I took the fire brick down to about sort of there, about there. And then on the bottom half, coming up and over the fire brick, I did 2 coats of honey flux and then 1 coat of river birch. And I love the combination of the honey flux over the deep fire brick. I love the way we get sort of these sort of blends of the reds and the creams, and just really lovely. And again, it's on the speckled clay. Now this one is a new glaze to me. I've not used this before. And the base of this one is Speedball's Prisma Green. And it's really shiny. It's almost iridescent. Look at that lovely run on the handle there again. And then on the top of that, so the Prisma Green, I actually did all over the whole of the hat of the gnome. And then on top of the Prisma Green, the top 1/3, I did 2 coats of textured turquoise. So that's why we've got those lovely sort of blues and colours coming through. And then over the top of the texture turquoise, and I only did this sort of the top 1 inch, I did 2 coats of the Jungle Gem Blue Guppy. And there's some lovely colours and variations in there. I hope you can see that because the sun's quite bright at the moment and there's a little bit of reflection. And then on the inside I did 2 coats of the Prisma Green with the Blue Guppy just coming over the rim a little bit. Really cute. Now this one I think I'm going to refire because it's just a little bit patchy sort of at the bottom here, and I'd like to see if I can get a little bit more movement. So this one I actually did with 3 times Mayco eggplant, and that was on the inside 3 times eggplant, and then I did 1 times eggplant all over the outside, and then I did an extra layer of eggplant for the bottom sort of 2/3, and then over the top of that I did 1 coat, was it? Yeah, 1 coat of passion flower going the top sort of half, and then over the top of that, so the top sort of 1/3, I did 2 coats of Spectrum's Pearl White. And it's nice. I'd just like to put another coat on, I think, with the eggplant. Or what I might do is I might take the passion flower right the way down, that's Mayco's passion flower, right the way down to the bottom, because eggplant is the base of passion flower, I believe. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted the patterns with the crystals all the way down to the bottom, but looking at it now, I think I will. I think I'll take the passion flower right the way down, and I might even put another coat of Pearl White on to see if I can get a little bit more movement. But he's cute. And then the last one of the gnome mugs is this little fella. Now I've actually got, which I've done this combination before a few times, and I think originally I saw it on Kim and Todd from Unseth Pottery, and I've never had this happen before, which I think it's just crawled a little bit and pulled away, and we've still got the under the glaze on the bottom. It's covered, it's not raw clay, but the top glazes have just pulled away a little bit. So I think I'm going to pop him back in for another refire. So the glazes on this one. I've got, the first thing I did was I put 2 coats of cordovan or cordovan on the top 1/3. Then I did 2 coats of Mayco's birch over the whole lot, so over the top of the cordovan, and then also 2 coats on the inside. And then over the top of that, I did splodges, like swoops, and fairly thick, of Mayco's light flux. And you get what you see those lovely blues? I love this area here. And I love all the drips and dribbles that I've got, but I just want to see if I can get rid of those areas where it's crawled a little bit. It's such a lovely combination, this. You see where we've got the lovely dribbles round the rim there. So yeah, so I think he's going to be going in for a refire. Hopefully we won't get too much running, because we have got, like, there's quite a big dribble there. So yeah, but it's worth, you know, sort of giving it a refire and seeing what happens. Okay, so moving on, but staying with the Christmas theme, I've actually done some sort of gnome luminaries, and I've made the hats so that they're like trees. So all of the hats are green, and yeah, they're really cute. And then obviously you can put a tea light inside. I recommend an electric tea light, because ceramic can get quite hot. Isn't he cute? So that one is, just bear with me a minute. Get onto the right page. Yeah, so this one, the tree, so his hat is 2 coats of just Froggy, the stroke and coat. And the little snowballs are 2 coats of cottontail. And then the body is 2 coats of, I believe it's hot tamale. Yes, it's hot tamale, which again is the Mayco stroke and coats. And then his beard, I've actually done all of the beards in the same, and again that is the Spectrum satin speckle. And what I like about it is it's got that little bit of sort of flecking, and it just gives it a little bit of interest. Oh, and the nose, I've done all of the noses in 2 coats of the stroke and coat cashew later. And then let's go to this one. Isn't he lovely? I'm really pleased with how these have turned out. So this one, the hat, again, all of these are stroke and coats, so which are Mayco stroke and coats. So the hat is 2 coats of It's Sage. And then the hearts are 2 coats of Hot Tamale. And then the body, I'm not sure whether you can see that, I'm not sure it's showing up, but it's actually a, oh, is it actually? No, I'm wrong. The body on this one is 2 coats of cottontail, so it's a white. And then again, the beard is the spectrum satin speckle, and the nose is 2 coats of cashew later. Okay, let's go down to the next one. Let's do this one. So this one has little snowmen on his hat. No, not snowmen, snowflakes. I've got snowmen on the brain. Okay, so the hat on this one is 2 coats of the Stroke and Coat Limelight. The snowflakes are 2 coats of cottontail, but then what I did was I wiped them back a little bit just to make sure that we could still see the imprint. It's right, the sun's come out again, it's quite bright, but hopefully you can see that. Nose again, cashew later, and the beard in the spectrum satin speckle. Oh, and the body, did I say what the body was? Oh, the body on this one is 2 coats of ruby slippers, which again is a Stroke and Coat. And this one, these are all so cute. So the hat is 2 coats of Stroke and Coat It's Sage. The stars are 2 coats of cottontail. And then the body on this one, I actually made up a like a very pale blue by mixing 2 Stroke and Coats together. And I think it was, a tiny little bit of jaded, but most of it was the Stroke and Coat cottontail. So I just wanted a very sort of gentle, soft blue. And then again, the nose is the cashew later, and the beard is the spectrum satin speckle. So this one, I think these are going to look so cute lit up. So this one, the hat is 2 coats of the Stroke and Coat Leaping Lizard. And then the body is again Stroke and Coat Candy Apple Red, 2 coats. And then the beard is the satin speckle again. Can you see those lovely specks in there? And the nose is cashew later. And then the last one of these, I think this might be my favourite. How cute is that? So the hat is 2 coats of the Stroke and Coat Sour Apple. The holly and the berries is 2 coats. The leaves are 2 coats of Just Froggy. And then the berries are 2 coats of Hot Tamale. And then the body again is the mixture with the pale blue, which was a very small amount of jaded and then cottontail. Oh, he's so cute. I might keep this one. I'm not sure I can let him go. Right, we're nearly finished. So I made a couple of snowmen. And again, they're luminaries, so you can put a light in and they light up. How cute is that? So this one, again, with their stroke and coats. So the hat is hot tamale. The buttons are leaping lizard. And the scarf again is hot tamale. The nose, oh, what colour was the nose? I think it was jack-o'-lantern. But again, if I check my notes and it's wrong, then I'll put the what it is up on the screen. And then the body is actually the Spectrum satin white, 3 coats. And then the eyes are just underglaze, black underglaze. He's so cute. And then another little snowman. So on this one, the body again is the Spectrum satin white. The hat is 2 coats of Just Froggy. And the scarf is again Just Froggy. The buttons are 2 coats of Ruby Slippers, and all of these are stroke and coats. And then the nose again is jack-o'-lantern, and the eyes are underglaze. I've got a little bit of running, a little bit on that one eye, which is a bit of a shame because it makes him look like he's crying. So I may just sand that back and refire him. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but he's very cute. And that's everything for the Christmassy items. But then I think what I might do is I might show you a couple of things that came out of the last kiln opening that I had. So just bear with me a minute. I'm just going to pause you for a moment. Okay, I'm back. So on the last kiln opening, I had a couple more little snowmen. So I thought I would show you those, being as we're on a Christmas theme. So there's this one. Isn't he just so cute? Now with this one, what I actually did was I put a manganese wash over the whole of his body and his scarf and his hat. And then I wiped that back so that the manganese stayed in the dots and the lines. And then I left the rim of the hat, the scarf and the buttons raw clay. And then on his body and his hat, I did 3 coats of, hang on a second, it's not Cirrus Flow, it's the other one, Honeydew, which is an Amaco flux glaze, and it's called Honeydew. And it's like a very pale green. It's really pretty. And then there's this one. Again, he's just really cute. So I did exactly the same. was I did the manganese wash. I wiped it back so that it stayed in the dots and the lines. I left his hat raw clay and his scarf and his buttons. And then I did 3 coats of Cirrus Flow, which is the Amaco Flux glaze, which is the pale blue. And then on the face, I did 3 coats of the satin white, which was the Spectrum glaze. And the nose, I believe on both of these last 2, I did 2 coats of Pinker Dot, which is a stroke and coat. And then going away from the Christmas theme, just a couple of items, just normal everyday household items that I made. So just a salt crock, salt pig, and this is just 1 glaze, and it's 3 coats of Midnight Run, which is an Amaco glaze. And I just think it's a really pretty glaze on its own. And this is on white stoneware. And then finally, another salt crock. And this one has 3 coats of Mayco Sage Gloss on the inside. And then on the outside, it's just left with the raw clay. And this is actually a new clay to me. It's a grey clay, and it's a Sabelco, I think you pronounce it, clay, which is a UK, well, you can get it in the UK. It's not a UK clay, but it's really lovely and it feels really nice. So I think I'm going to be doing more and more with that clay. I just think it's got a really nice sort of modern contemporary feel to it. So that's everything. Well, I'd like to say thank you for everyone that's watched the video. I'm hoping to do more, so watch this space, and hopefully I'll be coming along with some more kiln openings in the near future. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon. Bye then.